we look at all of those so we don't miss anybody. I'm excited. Spiritual Q&A with Arthur, and I have a feeling there's going to be some other advanced beings coming in, and with this being a spiritual Q&A, I'll have a chance to also connect with your guys if you guys want me to. And if that's the case, I invite you to invite them in now for your highest good and for your highest divine guidance, because everything that comes through, the idea being that it comes from the highest level of source, the highest level of love, that it comes from spirit, from the highest source, that it is all divinely guided. And that I'm used as a divine vessel. And that all of my talents, all of my gifts, and everything that I have to offer can be used in service to those of you who are here. And whoever comes in and watches this later, there may be a message in it for you. But I ask that God, I ask that source, I ask that all-powerful wisdom of the universe work with me and allow me to be of service. Allow my heart to be open, my mind to be open, my spirit to be open, to receive and to communicate with clarity, with wisdom, with insight, with love. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. All right. So I think we've got at least one person who's joined us on YouTube, and we've got our group here. I'm going to open it up. You can either, if you're on the Zoom and you want to ask a question, feel free. I can't say anything is off the table. If we don't have an answer for you, we don't have an answer, but I'm open to receiving any questions of spirit that might be for your highest good or for the highest good of our planet and our creation. All right. Who has a question?
Bernadette, I have a question that maybe, I think it's ridiculous to ask this even, but Saturday a week ago, my cat disappeared, and I'm just so heartbroken and concerned about him. The next door neighbor kitty has come around our house a couple of times looking for him. And I mean, it's been a week and a day now. Oh, and there's my dog.
Oh, right there.
So I just want to know that he's okay. His name is Max.
Let me see if I can tune into Max's energy. The first thing I get is a little bit of tension. I felt my body tense up, almost like being on guard.
Yeah.
And this feeling of feeling trapped
somewhere
where he can't get out easily. I feel like Max is usually a very friendly cat, and he's very cute. And so people like him, and someone has decided to take in Max.
Okay.
And that's why he's got this feeling like he's trapped because he can't get back outside.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But he's not far away. I feel like he's like 2 blocks over. And
okay.
Like a tannish, light tannish or yellowish house.
Okay.
Like he's in that area.
Great.
And that if like whoever's got him isn't like mean, wasn't trying to steal the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So Max likes to eat, and He was like, he's an indoor outdoor cat usually,
He is.
and he would go and get food from this other place.
Uh-huh.
And yeah,
Well, that's what my husband said. He said, I bet you somebody else is feeding him.
yeah, someone else was feeding him. So he's not, he's just stuck inside. But like, if you, I hate to say go door to door, but if you were to do something like that,
Right.
you would find him.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bernadette, so
You're welcome.
much.
You're welcome. Oh, I can't, you went silent, Roxanne.
Oh, I did?
Yeah. You were
Oh.
pointing and then you went silent. But yeah, I he's findable.
Okay, thank you. That really is very encouraging.
Yeah, you're welcome. And he's being fed, he's being taken care of, but he kind of feels like it's time to go home. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he wants his mommy.
I'm sure he's like, okay, this was cool, but now it's
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Roxanne. Are there next question? Another question?
Hold on.
All right, I'm just inviting the folks on YouTube to drop a question as well. And if you're on Zoom and you've got a question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to just see if there's any messages that Spirit has for in general for us. There is, I'm just going to share this message while others may come up with a message. The word I got was patience. And that we've been asked to exercise a lot of patience in this past year. Patience with processes and systems and this virus and life in general. But it's because we have been such an impatient society that it's been so difficult to have that patience. And that extends to patience with these processes and the things that must happen for us to move forward, but also with each other. And if we can become more patient in general, it allows us to become more thoughtful, being able to connect with thought. And when we become more thoughtful, we can become more heartful, and we can connect with people at a different level, and we can start seeing people and understanding people from different places and from a different space, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But if we don't get this lesson of patience, then we won't get the lesson of understanding and of thoughtfulness either. And they all go together. And this month, they really want us to think about that and to see how can we become more patient. And a lot of times it starts with self, being patient with ourselves. They're saying timelines. Timelines are often arbitrary. They've been created by man to force actions in a certain amount of space. Often they do not account for individuals, not individuals' lives, their motivations, the things that they have going on, the mental capacity they have to do something. And that's stretched a lot of people in this time where people are expected to continue on as if things haven't changed when their whole worlds have been shaken up. So as we move forward, let's try to be a bit more patient, not just with ourselves, but with other people and with the processes of change. We are undergoing fundamental, foundational, world level changing right now. And we need to be patient with that process. That doesn't mean inactive. It means patient. You take steps, but realizing that a step does not immediately result in the next step. Things must integrate. And then you move forward and integrate and move forward and allow that to happen. Okay. All right. I felt like there was another question, and there was. Can spirit intervene with all the people who are dying from taking COVID-19 vaccine? This question came through from the YouTube, and my first thought is I haven't heard of deaths from the vaccine. I've heard of deaths from COVID, and so I want to take this as a two part. And this is difficult because this is one of those, we operate on multiple levels. We're physical beings having a spiritual experience, and we manifest from our thought, from our beliefs, from where we are, the conditions that we see. So whether that be in our person, our individual selves, or what we look at from the outside, on the outside, and so what we see in our world. So spirit can only intervene to the level of our ability to connect with universal principles and universal laws and our understanding of our own power, if that makes sense. So spirit could intervene, but if you don't even have an understanding of how powerful you are within spirit, or what you're looking to do, or you believe that you believe the world is doomed, you believe this is never going to end. I don't know. There's certain thoughts that can run away into spirit not being able to intervene on your individual behalf. So I have not heard of. I've from the studies I've read, there have been very few people who have actually died from the COVID vaccine, at least in this country of the United States. It's so few, like it's maybe like two, I don't know the number, but it's a handful at most. Whereas, there's over 450,000 other deaths associated with it. They're not going to do what we don't put into motion spiritually. They're not going to take action where we don't take the first thought action. You wonder about the power of belief, the power of prayer, the power of positive thinking. What would be possible if collectively we exercised that? If at a collective level, a universal level, even if we just said, in the United States, in North America, what if we collectively put our thoughts towards breaking down the impact of this virus? Maybe it doesn't go away, but what if we could break down the effect of it, the impact of it? That would be us taking some of our power, spiritual power, and applying it to this very real physical problem. Yeah, that's it. That's the response that I can give to that question. Who else has a question? If you want to just drop it, if you're on the Zoom and you want to drop it in the chat, I can answer it from there as well. And don't feel like you can't ask a question. That's why we're here. It's a spiritual Q&A. And yes, I've got my coffee because I can drink coffee at any time during the day and it doesn't keep me awake at night. Yeah, so got my coffee. And I'm ready. If you have if you want to ask a second follow-up question, anyone who feel free. Oh, there is a question in chat. Okay. All right, all right, I'm going to try to answer SG's question. So for that question, I got, this is for message about my purpose, how to move forward in my business. Okay, the song, I got the phrase living it up, and then that song, oh my God, don't believe it, just something, like you're jamming, like having fun and adding more fun into whatever you do with your business. So if that makes sense, like whatever you're trying to do, like you can be very, very, and I feel like I'm speaking to myself right now. So I hear you. You can be very serious sometimes when it comes to what you're doing and add more fun into it. See what things you can do that would bring you joy as well as others versus just how do you serve others? How do you serve others while also bringing yourself some joy in doing that?
That makes sense. I guess the deeper question is, I feel like I'm at a crossroads where I'm not really sure where to go from here.
Okay, so it's your purpose. Do you mind if I just
Do whatever you need to do.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm saying is seeing a couple things. One, I see you speaking to groups of like not girls, but maybe like teenage young women age, and like you've got a very like a life story that is inspiring and can help people, but you are afraid of telling that story because of judgment, and so you keep going back and forth with how do you help people with that story without putting yourself out there with that story. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I've been trying to figure out, and does that equate to a career? I'm like, okay, I tell the story and now what?
What I see you doing, I see you going into schools and I see you going into colleges, but only when you have the courage, only when you're bold enough to get your message in and figure out what parts do you need to tell, because you don't have to tell everything. Some people think, oh, I got to tell it all. What parts do you need to tell to get the point across? Now you also have systems, and you're really good at systems. I see you like you're good at organizing things and putting things into systems. So how do you use that to help people? So it's like, how do you take the message and put some meat on it so that you're delivering a product at the end that people can take and go with them?
Yes,
What is the
exactly.
tangible thing that they get from this? Maybe they learn how to organize their day. Maybe they learn how to organize systems so that they can build something for themselves. So what is it that you know, along with the experiences that you've lived, that allows you to take that message and that product to the people who need it?
Understood. Okay, I know what that means exactly.
You got that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And I really see you starting in high schools and then moving on to college level.
That's interesting. That wasn't an age group that I had even considered,
Mhm.
either one of them. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so retiring overseas. Okay, so I see like two different places. Like one's like Italy, I don't know, and then one's like Spain or something like that. And I feel like you wouldn't like Spain as much. Like you might get there and they say unless you go to the, and I'm terrible at geography. Spirit can't even help that. Um, you go to the far side by the water. I don't know if it's Barcelona or like, I don't know exactly, but you you might like that part. But I see you have like Spirit says, don't go more than an hour away from the water. That's very important to you. So you want to be close enough to the water to enjoy its beauty. Yeah. But yeah, they'd say it's completely feasible. You all have been planning, you've been preparing, you've been doing.
We are.
Yeah, it's completely feasible. But look in those two, you could find something in both of those locations, but if it's Spain, I would really go to that far side.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Confirmation.
Awesome. Okay. All right, Maria. You too. It's great to see you too. Yes, we all, most people who are spiritually minded and who are open to that have their crew, have their team of spiritual guides around them, whether they are aware of it or not. Unless you've literally told them to go away, you've got your team with you. Now, what I'm getting is sometimes the quality of your team can be better. So, and how do I put this? So sometimes it's good to ask that they ask if they're all coming from the highest source. Are they all coming from divine love, divine light, from the ultimate source? Are they coming from, because there's different levels. Like when I cross over, I might become a guide, but I might be like, a entry level guide who maybe for certain things you don't want to ask me. You want to ask someone who's more senior, just like at a regular job. Like they go there and they train, they have to work their way up too. So we all have a team. Some people on our team are going to be more advanced. Like you're going to have a lead team member, and then you're going to have other folks on your team. But it's not just having fun. So if you feel like somebody's messing around, that's probably not a guide. It might be another energy, another entity that's messing around, because there are others who can come into our space and do things that sometimes, like pixies and sprites, they can come around and that. But if that's the case, then maybe. But your energy is also going to attract the type of guides that come to you, like depending on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. So if it's a good feeling like that, laughing, then that's cool. But you also want to make sure you have somebody on your team who is about the business. So who's about like making sure you stay on course for your life path and your purpose, who nudges you and says, all right, now you said you were going to do this in 6 months and you haven't done it, or you still have these things. So you want a balanced team. And it sounds like, I mean, from what I know of you, you probably have a balanced team, but it doesn't sound like you've got a sprite messing with you, which can happen.
Is nobody playing jokes like I hear clanging behind me or something like that? It's just
Okay.
feels like I have almost an audience or something.
And you usually, I mean, most people probably have on a full team 4 to 6 people that are around us most of the time.
That's what it feels like. Are they people you used to know or something, or they just go, "Oh, you're fun. I want to hang out here."
They can be. Some people can be assigned to like someone they once knew. You could have a prior life agreement and say, in this life, you're going to be here, and they're going to help you from the other side.
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes like a family member who crossed over a while ago may be able to help in that capacity. But it can also be, hey, she needs this type of individual on her team with this skills in order for her to reach what she planned out in her, made in her plan. We're going to assign you, and you, and then, someone else. So it's not like willy-nilly.
Well, can you put in a request like I need a business mogul and someone to slap?
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I need someone who's business minded on my team. And sometimes you might have a step in. They may not be like permanently on your team, but they come in to help you with a certain thing, getting them off the ground. But I ask, like, oh, like right now, I need someone who's able to think very much like this.
Oh, I never thought of doing that. I'm like, I've got requests.
Yeah. Just ask. Yeah, I need someone who thinks like this, who can help me figure this kind of stuff out and make that request.
Very cool.
Yeah, you figured, it's like they all have jobs.
That's great.
Yeah, they all have jobs too.
I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Do they have anything? Can
Any
you feel them? Do they have anything they want me to know?
They say you're doing good, but they could have you focus a bit more. Like they show me 3 projects that you got going on right now. And they say this is 3 main projects that you have going on right now.
Always.
And because they said, would you mind? This is how they said, would you mind just for the month of February, just choose one and focus on it and see what happens.
Oh, that's what I've been doing.
So they said just focus the whole month. The whole month. See
Your
what happens.
It's hard.
Choose one to really focus. They said the other, which one that you could do that you could really focus on, and the other 2 are more like when you have a moment, don't carve out extra time for it. Then do something little on it. Take one small step on it. Focus on that one.
Okay.
It doesn't mean the other things don't have anything happening at all, but your energy is really directed to the one thing.
Okay. I know what that one thing is. I just get scared that my other stuff is gonna shrivel and die, or
just like
I'll lose my talent.
Put a little water in it but put your energy towards the one thing.
Okay, that's really great to know.
Yeah.
Thanks. Tell myself thank you. Peace.
They hear you. They said, we got you, girl. That's what they said. We got you, girl. All right. Okay, so career change, a good choice. It's funny, I feel like I get this yes and no. Yes and no, like by itself, it's a good career, but you're not excited about it. And any career that we aren't excited about winds up not unless you can find something that you can be excited about in it, then it's hard for it to be a good career for you.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
kinda.
Like what? I get yes and no, and it's just this confusion.
I appreciate it.
I want to talk to you later about that one because there's something else going on. I can't get into it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I have another question here. How can we manifest what we want to happen quickly? Yes. So some things we can control, some things the universe has to make.
Hey, baby. Oh. Oh, now I know why you went.
Yeah. So how do we manifest what we want to happen quickly? This is going to sound strange, but it's hold a thought and then let it go, if that makes any sense. So you want to hold the thought of what you want. And when I say hold it, I mean truly like put it into your mind's eye what you want to manifest. And you can visualize it, you can write it down, you can draw it out depending on how you do that. But I always like to say hold it, but don't try to control it. Like if you can only imagine a blue house with white shutters and a red door, and that is the only thing you're willing to accept, when the house shows up and it's got a yellow door, you might reject it because you're blind to it. So think about what you want and always add and something better or something better. So how do you manifest what you want? You put out the idea, you hold that thought, and then you let it go. You put it out to the universe, and hold it, and then you let it go. That doesn't mean you don't come back to it, but you don't constantly like be in it, because then you're not living and you're not taking the steps you need to take to allow things to come into your life. I use my Creating Miracles program myself, my Creating Miracles course myself, and that manifests things very quickly. And it's three tools. I was going to talk about it on the 21st. I've got too many other events, so I'm postponing it probably till March or April. But I'm going to be talking about those 3 tools that I use to manifest things next month or in April. What is the quickest way to eliminate or transmute dark energy? I know I've got some ways, and I know Mom is on if she wants to chime in here as well. So for me, depending on how strong you feel spiritually to command, then you can command things to leave. I mean, one of the things my house, my space, whether that's my physical house around me or my house, my body, my house, my temple, my space. So commanding it to leave. You can sage, traditional things like saging, doing an intentional white light bath. So bathing yourself in white light or bathing the space, but you've got to hold, like for me, I hold that thought and visually see it going through the entire space to push out. And then I don't just push out any dark energy. I actually visualize the dark energy kind of turning into like little glittery white, you know, shimmery dust kind of things, particles, so that I'm not putting anything out into the world that's bad, so that you're actually transmuting it into something that's good. So that's a couple ways. That's a broad question, Robert. Is there anything? In the whole world. Do you have a an area?
Let's do the soulmate.
Oh,
Yeah. Because I feel that energy is coming my way anyway. I feel it intuitively. And I know you said the three energies.
I hear spring. And first I got March, then I got spring, and this idea of new life.
Right.
Listen, but don't rush
Hmm.
and
Mm-mm.
don't assume. So March, spring time frame, because it could be April. So in this time frame that's coming up, I would, they're showing me like opening like a flower. So allowing yourself to open
Gotcha.
to those opportunities, to those other people
Yeah.
coming into your life, but that the first person may not be the person.
Right.
But you have to open yourself up to allow that person to come in. And once you open yourself up, people are able to come in. But
Right.
that first person may not be the person.
Right. And that's when you told me to pray for the clarity, wisdom, and guidance.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
So that
ma'am.
you can discern the right person.
All right.
And I feel like it's gonna be like boom, boom, boom. So like it'll be two of them,
Yeah. I
two
got you.
coming in quick, and then like a lag, and then the third. But it'll be up to you to really use your discernment, judgment, wisdom, get clarity on who that person is supposed to be.
Got it.
And Spirit says it may not be what you expect.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It always isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, may not be what you expect.
Yeah, it always isn't.
Mhm. But it'll be good. Like by the end of the year, it'll all be good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It may be a little rocky, but by the end of the year, it'll be good.
Got it.
All right. Just checking here. Does anyone have another question? Oh, yes, Roxanne.
Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with Dolores Cannon's The Three Waves of Volunteers.
I will admit that I am not.
Oh, okay. Well, she's written that there's three waves of volunteers, that the Earth put out a call when the A-bomb went off of the Earth was saying, what are these people doing? And they sent out a call for all these star seeds to come in.
Okay.
And when I read that, which was probably nearly 10 years ago, it resonated with me so much. And I was like, oh my God, that's me, you know? So I just wanted to know if I was in the second wave, which is what I feel like I am, you know? It's only because people all my life have told me I'm so different and I haven't figured it out. And now I know it's a higher vibration and, you know, I don't know. So I was just wanting to know about being a star seed.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say that if you are here on this call, you are probably not the average, you know, being on this planet. So you've been called for something greater. Just know that if you're here, you're called for something greater. For you, I'm getting, yes, you are one of those. But your purpose, it's to, I keep seeing this and I'm trying to figure out what they're saying, because it's not super. They're saying you have a gift for bringing people in. Does that make any sense? Like,
Yes.
you have a gift for bringing people in, and I don't know exactly what they mean, but they say she knows what we mean.
Yeah.
And it's one that they said you make people feel good, and you make people feel comfortable. You make people feel seen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because of that, we need that, right? Because a lot of times people they feel disconnected and they feel invisible. And one of your gifts is turning that around and helping people feel seen and not feel, and bringing them in and letting them know they're not alone.
Great.
So
Thank you so much.
that is one of your gifts. And they said, continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you just do in your natural living. It's
Yeah.
just a part of who you are, and continue to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've got a question here. There are very few people who can speak who can speak spirit and how can we activate our psychic powers? Now you're gonna stump the band. Now let's see. Thanks. That was helpful. Sorry. Use them. So that's what Spirit told me. They're like, use them. Yeah, that sounds a lot easier than said than done. But because we all have psychic powers, like we all have it naturally. Like nobody came in here completely turned off. But a lot of times we dim it. Like if you had a light switch with a dimmer, you just keep turning it down because life says that's weird, that's strange, I don't understand, I'm not sure what to do with this, it's scary. And then eventually it feels like it's off when you just have to kind of turn that dimmer back around the other way. And eventually it feels like it's back on again. Practice. And you're not the first person wondering how do we activate, how do we strengthen those gifts? And the best way is to start with our everyday lives. So letting ourselves feel more. And it's a lot of times we get so shelled up that we don't even allow ourselves to feel. But empathy is one of the, that's a psychic gift. When we allow ourselves to feel, yes, we have to be careful because then you start feeling all this other stuff around you and it can be overwhelming. But that's also why you learn how to protect yourself from certain energies. Allow yourself to feel and pick up your own inner knowing, your intuition. Trust your gut, that's real. And start testing that with yourself, testing it with friends and family, joining a group, of a development group. And that is something I'm looking into for this year. I just released my book, and that's been my focus the past several months. But it's definitely something you can develop. Obviously, people can develop themselves into psychics who are able to use their gifts, and even into mediums, being able to connect with loved ones on the other side. So it's a practice of practice, for sure. Thanks, Elise. You're welcome. So I'm gonna I'm gonna text you something. Okay. And you can send a message and but it take based on what you said, I would connect with her. Yeah.
How,
they're probably- did you ever want to say something, Maria?
how do I connect with her?
Oh, sorry.
I'm not psychic, Bernette.
Yeah, right. Sometimes it's the most obvious stuff.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that. Duh, right. So powers are so that means they're not blocked. If your ears are popping, that lets you know they're not blocked. They may not be developed. And so being able to talk to them may be difficult. You might want to start with something like using a pendulum so that you can ask questions and you can use a letter chart to get information. And that's sometimes very helpful, especially when you're just starting out in developing your intuitive or your psychic abilities, because you want to check yourself, because you could be, I mean, you're like, is this real? Is this not real? I don't know. And then you're not really sure. And so you're second guessing and you're not trusting and you need to validate. So a pendulum can be helpful in just getting a clear answer on your question. So if your ears are popping when the spirit enters your space, that tells me right there you are not blocked, because you're literally getting a physical physical response. Now, one of the things I believe you can do is ask. You can always ask. You can ask to be open. I just say, don't ask to be all open. Like, I don't sit around like talking to spirits all day. I don't sit around letting them just, be sitting in my space all day, because I have a regular life to live, right? Like we exist on a three-dimensional planet. No matter how, spiritual we may be, we exist on a three-dimensional planet. And so you can't just, you got to have feet on the ground. And so, but ask, I'd like to be more open to connect with spirit, with my higher self, with my guides. I would start with my higher self and my guides. I wouldn't just be like spirit and then like, you open yourself up to anything. You got to be really careful. Let me just emphasize, really careful with this stuff. I don't take it lightly. I don't play around with it. It's not like, oh yes, let's have a Ouija board. No, we're not gonna just sit around and invite invite stuff in for fun. So, but it sounds like all you probably need to do is start with some kind of tool that lets you get an answer. And because of, and I've warned against the Ouija board, even though it's very popular, only because of the energy that psychically has been attached to that board. So that question, probably what I'm getting is a grandma's sister. So not necessarily your grandma, but your grandma's sister checking in on you. To answer that question, James, no, not all part of the same soul family. but we all came here with the certain goals and certain purposes, and energetically we find connections, and we get connected. Um, all right. I'm just checking to see if I have any questions I've missed. Anyone else have a question, either from the YouTube or from the Zoom?
May I ask another question?
Certainly can.
So in the last 2 years, I've had actually 10, well, now 12 people transition. So I'm just wondering if there's any messages from my recent friends and family who have transitioned, anything I should know. Most recently, actually, a friend from college that died last week, and it was unknown what happened to her. She was discovered on a wellness check.
So I will let you know. They're saying they can't answer your friend because she's not in a place where she's able to talk yet and share her message yet. So I'll check back and see if there's anyone else. I'm getting a brother or like a brother, with a big broad smile, like okay, big broad smile and eyes that kind of, I don't want to say they had sad eyes, but their eyes kind of look like they angled down a little bit versus like a big smile, and I can't describe it.
Can you tell by age? Because there were 2 males that transitioned. I'm
So
just
this
wondering.
one looks to be, I'm getting around 32-ish.
My nephew.
Okay. Okay. He's got a little bit of a smart mouth.
Yes.
He was like, "Why do you think I was her brother?" I said, "I don't know how old she is," and that's. And he said, "You think I'm?" I was like, "Okay." He's got a bit of a smart mouth. Because I'm like, I figured y'all were brother, like could look like a brother to me. He said you were cool, Sherry. That's what he said. He says you were cool. And he says he did foolish things. Sometimes in his life, he did foolish things, and it cost him. But it's nobody else's fault. Like he doesn't lay blame on anybody else for the things that he did in his life. And he says he's fine. He says, I'm fine. He said, not everybody else is. He says, but I'm fine up here. He said, nobody needs to worry about me. Nobody needs to worry about my soul. He says, sometimes people think they need to worry about my soul. He says, nobody needs to worry about my soul. He says, I'm good. He says, I'm hanging. Is there another brother? Is there an actual brother up there?
Yeah, I do have an actual brother up there.
Yeah. He says he's hanging out with his uncle. Like, he says,
Oh, with his uncle.
With his uncle.
So he's not my nephew by blood. He's actually one of my friend's sons. But his uncle actually recently transitioned in December.
Okay.
His father's brother actually recently transitioned, so he probably is.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I guess he needed you to know that he's also that uncle is also okay.
I understand.
But he's okay. You have a brother. Is your brother what's kind of stocky, heavy set?
Yes,
Like
he was.
like a linebacker kind of build?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Because he just said, well, hold on now. She here, I'm coming in. He said, move over. So move over. He said, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm concerned for their family.
He says, I know. He says, I know. And he says, I'm sorry. He says, I never wanted anybody to worry like people worry. He says, I swear I didn't plan it. That's what he says. Does that make sense? He says, I didn't.
It was very sudden.
And he said he thought he had all the time in the world because he thought he was invincible.
Mm.
And
The uncle said that, or the nephew?
Your brother.
The uncle.
The big heavy set one?
Yeah, it's not, but I understand. Yes,
Okay.
he's my friend's brother. They're like family by association, not by blood.
Okay.
Yes.
So the big one. He says he thought he had more time.
Mm.
He felt invincible. But he says, I guess nobody gets out of this alive. So,
That's him.
okay. but he says he's okay. He's okay now.
Can you tell my nephew that I'm really sorry and that I miss him?
He says you could tell him. Yeah. No, I mean, like, okay. He's there. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so unexpected.
He hears you. And right now he's with you. He's with you right now.
That's good.
And he's giving you a hug.
Oh.
He says, reach over and get that box of tissues. Go ahead. It's all right. He says, it's okay. He says,
okay.
He says, we miss people too, but it's different.
It's different.
Because we know we're going to see them.
Okay. Thank you, Bernette.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just going to send this message to how can I heal my skin? Or if any good news. Okay, so this is gonna sound strange, but I got water and I got apricots. For healing your skin. Like drinking a lot of water and using some kind of apricot thing on your face. I feel like you've been exploring different products at work. Maybe look for something that has apricot in it. I see your hand is raised, Kim. You want to ask a question?
Yes, I do. Come on, camera. Don't mind me, I look a little bit crazy.
Oh, you got the little girl.
Hi. Say hi, everybody.
Oh.
Say hello. Say hello. I don't know what she's looking at.
You gonna let your mama ask a question?
Okay. I wanted to know if, well, as you know, Kyra's dad transitioned in April, so it's almost a year. I wanted to know if he's okay and if he has any messages for either me or Kyra.
Clea, no, don't eat any. Excuse me.
Just trying to connect with him and make sure that I understand, make sure it's him. I'm going to ask another a question because there's something about his energy that so I just asked my pendulum if he had fully transitioned or if he was still hanging around here, because the first thing I got was this feeling of guilt, which if he had crossed over fully and gone through the waiting room process, they usually resolve that. And since it had been 10 months, it seemed a little strange. He is still hanging around here because he has felt guilty for leaving, which doesn't really help his soul progress and doesn't allow him to be as helpful spiritually and emotionally to you or Tyra. So
Yeah.
he does need to cross over.
Yeah.
He does need to go into the light. I'm going to ask him if he's ready. Just asking him if he's ready, and he's saying, "But I'm gonna. What happens to you all? And I'm gonna miss you." And I'm telling him that when he goes in, he's able to return as his full self, and be more helpful and see you and visit. And he asks, "Am I sure?" Yes. Once you go through into the light, you can return. You can come back, and it'll be with more knowledge, with more understanding, and you can be of more help. He says he visits Tyra a lot and thinks that she's gonna miss him or not feel him if he's gone.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna reassure him that he can still share his love and his light with her once he's crossed over, and it'll be better and be of pure light. This is his choice. I'm asking him, is he ready to go? And he says, "Give me a minute," because he wants to give some love over there where you are before he goes. Okay. Okay. He says, okay. Thank you. Just to double check that he has crossed over.
Okay.
And I get a nice yes that he has crossed over. Oh, yes. He is okay. Thank you for asking about them because
Thank you.
they don't always go.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how people have transitioned and they're walking among us, not even knowing that they transitioned. So yeah.
Yeah. So how can I heal generational trauma and curses? I'm gonna say, so that's an excellent question. And there's ways of doing this, but it's more than I can answer in this setting. I'm actually gonna suggest that you contact us. If you go to the I think our informational page, or if you go to Spirit Speaks Channel.com and then go to Rebecca, then she does pendulum healing. You can get a lot of that. If you want to understand what those generational trauma curses are, that's a different question I might be able to help you with. But if you want to go in and heal whatever's there, definitely she can help you there. I'm not sure. Hopefully that link works. It highlighted the Spirit Speaks part. Since I don't know what the Orishas are. Okay. So Orishas. So let me see if I get anything on the Orishas. I don't even know if that's like a place or I really have no idea what the Orishas are to even start asking the question. So let me come back to that and see if
Bernette, I can tell you that Orishas are like African ancestral gods and goddesses. They're Orishas,
okay.
gods and goddesses.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So y'all know more. See, thank you. I probably would have gotten it in 5 minutes waiting for them to give me the answer to that. So I'm gonna just do this generally for the first question and see what spirit tells me about that. In every belief, in every system, in every place, there are different helpers, advanced beings who are there to guide, direct, provide wisdom and insight. The Orishas are like that, just as there are others in other cultures and beliefs that help and guide those people. They are not unlike those. They are not necessarily the same, though. It's not as if one is the other. Those groups help the people that they've been assigned, just as one group helps Christians. There's a group that helps people who believe in the Judaic faith, a group that helps those who believe in Islam. You have those different groups helping their people that they've been assigned to. people, because of their ability to circumvent the physical space, have elevated them to the level of gods and goddesses. Not as if they are the supreme God, but they are, from our perspective, they are gods and goddesses because of what they are able to do in the spiritual plane. So ask yourself, what is a god or a goddess? And is it any different than what they are able to do? They are small gods in the eyes of the big God, but they are able to activate powers and activate abilities that are beyond the typical human ability and experience. There's no need to fear them, not the true ones. I do see that there are imposters who seek to influence and trick people into believing in them by mimicking the abilities, the gifts of the true Orishas. And these are the ones people should be aware of. This is where discernment and keeping yourself raised up in vibration and in the light and in that understanding can protect you from their influence. That's the answer that they gave on that one. Message. Let me go back and see what that is. So if there's a question from Tyra about the last question, I think was moving overseas. Is that the question that you had, Tyra? If you give me even just an area, it could be any subject. Give me an area and I can focus the energy to answer a question for you there. All right, we have just a few more minutes. I want to get the answer to at least one of Tyra's questions, and then if anyone else has a question, I can also take that. Okay. So what I'm getting for you on that, the career question, I see you climbing steps and then like stopping, and there's like the stagnation. And part of it is like this exhaustion of climbing these steps and like, am I getting anywhere? Am I getting anywhere? And feeling as if you just keep climbing steps, but where are you going? And this like exhaustion and like almost this, yeah, feeling like I'm climbing, but I'm not going anywhere. And Spirit says part of it is the specific place you are. Part of it is your attitude towards that place. Like because you feel like you're stagnated, you've perhaps started to your motivation there has started to go down. And so it's a little bit difficult to get the motivation to keep going because your motivation is down. It's like this loop. And so you feel like you're on this never ending staircase. So Spirit says, she wants to know, well, what do I do about that? It says, start here. Treat it as if it wasn't a job. Treat it as if it was you and your own business and your own brand. And what would you do differently? And this is for everyone. I got this message earlier about careers and jobs and working. And what the message I got was, a lot of times we treat our jobs like it's just a job versus treating it as if we are our own brand and we are giving our services, our knowledge, our information, our abilities to this company, treating it like almost like a consultant does, who says, I'm going to add as much value so that I can, one, get as much from it and be as valuable as possible so that they want more. So turning it back around and seeing it as almost an investment in your brand, as you know, whoever you are as an employee is looking at it more than just an employee. Okay, so I've got several questions coming in. So I'm gonna do the one here, back here, and then here. So when I read the question, I got the number 3 on when I'll get married again. So let me just ask, because I feel like you have not met the person yet. Okay. The question is, when will I get married again? Okay, they're saying no, you haven't met him. But I'm getting 3 years for that question about when getting married again. Oh, and they said part of that timing is going to depend on a couple of things that you control. And so you have a tendency to, once you're in a relationship, sometimes you get nervous and you slow things down or back out. Because there's you know, naturally sometimes you're fearful of getting hurt. But to reach that point of marriage again, it's going to take a leap of faith, and it's going to take a lot of trust, and you're going to have to deal with you're going to have to do some internal work in these years leading up to that, in the time leading up to when you meet this future partner and when you get married. And that's the part that you own, is doing that work on yourself. And that question of vitamins working for my eyes, I got the immediate answer of no. They're just saying no, they're not. They say it's not the right mix. They say you need something else in there. Maybe starts with a V. I don't know. V or Z. There's something else that you need in the mix for the vitamins. All right, I'm going to take this one last question, try to see. Okay. So the question of, does your mother hang around, watch, or is disconnected? She doesn't hang around a lot, but she watches. She visits, like she'll visit. I don't know if this, I mean, I feel like she doesn't stop moving. She's like always busy. Like, I don't know if she was like that in life. This is to your question, Maria. I don't know if she was like that in life, but it's like she doesn't sit down. She's just very busy. And because in spirit, there's people who are there busy doing things, but so she like drops in, she checks in on you, sees how you're doing, then she's off doing other things. And then she checks in and sees how you're doing. But she did, I asked if she fully crossed over, and I got a yes. So she's on the other side. She looks well. she shows herself at about, she says 38 because she was fine and she says fine and sexy, but I'm not gonna, yeah. She says 38 was how she showed herself. Why? I'm sorry. She doesn't stay though. Yeah. She just checks in. But no. It's interesting because I don't see her talk like hanging around. It's like check in and she's gone. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the last question that I have in there, and we are just at the top of the hour. Before everyone goes, I'd be remiss if I didn't plug my new book. If you haven't already got it, I'm going to drop the link in the comments because I'm so happy that I published The Story of Irvin James. It's the story of my great grandfather who founded a community for freed Blacks in 1870. The story is one that, even though it's not on the back cover, I channeled most of it so that it's using his voice and the way he would speak for the most part to tell the story of his life from about 8 years old to the time he was able to buy this land in 1870. So if you are able, it's in paperback and ebook. I would love for you to pick up a copy and leave a review if you enjoy it. If you don't like it, don't say anything. But if you love it, leave a review. But the link is there for you all. And so if it's any final comments or questions from anyone?
I'd like to ask another question if you don't mind.
Yeah.
My mom passed away in 1999, and I met my husband in 2016. And we're married now, but he constantly says, your mother told me this, your mother told me that, your mom said that. He's never met her. We have a little zebra statue, and he's like, I see your mom in that zebra. And he just is constantly in this connection with her. And he's like, do you think we were in the same spirit family? Do you think we're in the same soul family? I mean, it's just, he has more of a connection with my mother than I do.
That's very possible. I mean, it's very possible because we come in, our families and who we are close with we can have those soul family groups, and our roles change. So who knows? He might have been the son to her in another life, or they might have been brother, sister, mother, father, or they could have had a relationship and they decided they wanted to do something a little different this life, but still have that connection. But
well, that's great. He'll love to know that. He'll love to hear that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I think that's fun though, that he's got that connection.
He does.
And Tarlise, I'm gonna make sure. Yes, I'm gonna just copy your comment and so that I don't forget to do this, and I'm gonna send that to Mom, who is the healer, so that she can send some healing energy your way. All right, everyone, it is 3 o'clock. I hope this has been helpful, enjoyable, and that you've gotten something out of it. I've enjoyed it. I've had fun, and hopefully I was able to help some of you all out. All right, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you're watching the Super Bowl, enjoy it. And if you have a favorite team, you know, may they win.
Puppy bowl.
All right.
Thank you, Bernette.
All right.
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thanks, Bernette. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. We meet, oh, just someone's asking, we meet once a month on the first Sunday, and next month is going to be Mom. She will do probably something related to healing. And then the following month will be me again, similar format to this.
Cool.
All right.
Great.
See you guys.
Peace and
Bye.
love.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Hey, Rox.